So I'm going to talk about my story. In 2010, I was living with a man that I thought was my biological father. I was working for a concession company outside of Savannah, Georgia. We were on the road. We were on the festival circuit, and we were in Warner Robins, Georgia. My boyfriend and I had some problems with my dad and our owners. My boyfriend left. About 3 days later, we moved on to the next spot, which was about our third spot in this trip. We were setting up. We went set up for about 2 days, and on the opening night, my dad decided that he wanted to get us a motel room because I think the water in the trailer in the bunkhouse we were staying in was out. And he figured it'd be more comfortable. You know, our boss was pissing him off, so he just wanted to get away from the lot. Um, that night, he also bought me alcohol. I was 20 years old, so I was underage. He bought me alcohol, and instead of sleeping in the room, I had to go back to the lot because the boss was bitching. He was complaining about nobody was there to watch the equipment. We needed to come back. So my dad had his girlfriend over. I said, well, I'll just go back to the lot. I'll see you in the morning. Love you. Goodbye. I hugged him goodbye, and I said goodbye to his girlfriend, and I said, I'll see you guys in the morning. He said, we'll meet up for breakfast. Okay. So I'm walking back to the lot. I didn't realize I was drunk. Um, I got to the crosswalk, and all I remember is the walk sign being green. So I tried sprinting into the street across the crosswalk. I made it through 3 of the 6 lanes. I was almost to the median. Like, I was literally one stride from the median. And that's when I saw headlights out of my left side. I turned to try to run out of the opposite. I don't know why I turned to run the opposite direction. That changed my life forever. As I spun around and I had completed the 360 or 180 or whatever, I was literally, if I'd taken one more step, I would have been probably okay. I felt the most jarring impact I could ever remember. I remember flying up through the air. I remember hearing my leg snap, and I felt the bone just snap in half. It turns out I have a subcanteric fracture to my right femur, or subtrochanteric. I think it's a subtrochanteric fracture to my right femur. I'm probably butchering that. But it's right below the ball of my right femur. I shattered that portion of my leg, and I was in the hospital, and all I remember is crying because when they brought me out of shock. At the time when I was waiting for the ambulance, I remember there was a taxi driver that pulled over, and I remember the look of the headlights on the car that hit me. It looked like a Pontiac Sunfire or a Chrysler 300M from the late 90s, early 2000s, because the headlights were a very distinct trapezoidal shape. Um, I remember the taxi driver pulling around and stopping in the middle of the intersection and yelling at me to get up. And I said, man, I can't. Because I tried to get up and take one step, and I realized my leg was snapped in half. I tried to stand up and I fell over. He's yelling at me to get up. I say, dude, my leg is broken. I can't stand up. Help me, please. My dad heard the commotion, and I was pretty much in front of the hotel. So he came running out, and he is yelling at the guy. He can't move. His leg is broken. And the guy's like, can we move him? And my dad was like, no, we can't because he has hydrocephalus. I have a brain condition. which in a situation like this could end my life very easily. Any trauma to my spinal cord or brain is guaranteed to put me in the ICU, and I have to be treated as if my neck has been broken, regardless of whether it's obvious, because trauma to the spinal cord is dangerous for many different reasons. So my dad is trying to keep me still. He's telling me, don't move, don't move. The police arrive, the paramedics arrive, and he's shouting at the paramedics, but rather level-headedly informing them, hey, he's got hydrocephalus, we need a backboard, and we need a neck brace. So he puts the neck brace on me, and he's talking to the paramedics and the police and explaining what happened. The cops are talking to the taxi driver because somebody said the taxi driver hit me. The taxi driver didn't hit me, but he didn't. He also was not able to get a license plate number of the car that hit me. This happened in Jonesboro, Georgia. I believe it was March 6th of 2010. It was approximately, I think, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. It was Terra Boulevard, I believe, Jonesboro Highway. On the way to the hospital, I remember basically being conscious, but everything was spinning. I was in shock. When the ambulance made a turn, the gurney fell over, and I fell on the floor. I'm screaming in pain, and one of the paramedics is like, shut up, it's not that bad. The other paramedic told him to shut up and drive. And she is trying to figure out, okay, can I get him up? Or do we need to stop the ambulance? And it's a two-person job, basically. I got to the hospital, and they are doing x-rays and tests. I don't remember if I mentioned that I was intoxicated or under the influence, because I was scared of going to jail. So within the next 12 hours, they had put pins through my legs, through my right leg, and attached weights to it to keep it stabilized. Then the doctor comes in, tells me what they're going to have to do. They had to put me in surgery to install a Stryker intramedullary nail. That is a nail that is inserted at the top of my hip and driven through my femur. The 2 screws are mounted at the top of my hip, and 2 screws are mounted at my knee. The screws at my knee snapped in half about 4 months later, so they were removed. During that time, I was told, well, you can use a wheelchair or walker, but just start, as you can bear weight, start walking on it. Probably wasn't a good idea, but whatever. So I did. Followed up with my orthopedic surgeon, and when the pain didn't go away, and it actually got worse, that's when I reached out to a pain management specialist. I was diagnosed with a condition called reflex sympathetic dystrophy. A lot of people want to call it CRPS. Yes, CRPS is the umbrella family diagnosis, but there is a difference between causalgia and reflex sympathetic dystrophy. I prefer to go by the older diagnosis because it is more precise, and when people use the diagnosis of CRPS without specifying type 1 or type 2, it's type 1 is RSD. Type 2 is causalgia, I think. Again, I'm sorry for anyone that has type 2. I'm sorry if I butcher the name. If you could please correct me. I was diagnosed with it. I began treatment. Treatment worked, but then I lost my insurance because I moved out, and my parents took me off their insurance, and I was unable to get insurance because at the time the Affordable Care Act didn't apply to me. So I managed with over-the-counter meds for about 12 years. And then July 6th of 2021, I was taking out my trash, and as I bent down, I grabbed the trash bag, and I did a sweeping motion backwards. I had done this thousands, millions of times. I never thought this would happen. But I felt a pop in my back, like somebody had an exercise band stretched from the top of my head down to my tailbone. And it's like somebody plucked it like a guitar string. The pain from that was so unreal. I had pulled muscles before, but never like this. I knew something was wrong. So I went to the hospital. They said, it's just a herniated disc, it'll heal. Just be easy on it. Heat, cold, relax, hot showers, just take it easy. Here's some steroids. The steroids were prednisone. They made me incredibly sick. Like I was nauseous. I was horrible. Exendrin, my friend Sam can provide more detail on my exact condition and how sick it made me because he remembered everything. He and my friend David, cranky old bear, watched me go from an Uber driver and a security guard that was able to work 12 to 18 hour days to someone who can't even get up for 2 hours. Within a month of my herniated disc, I was telling Sam one night, over the course of that month, I had a steroid injection, a epidural steroid injection in my lumbar region to heal the disc. That worked. Just healed, as far as we know. But within 3 days of that, I was unable to move. I called Sam into my bedroom one night because David was at work, I believe, or he was in his room. And I called Sam in, and I said, Sam, I'm having trouble. Can you help me get into my wheelchair? And Sam was like, okay, kick your legs over the bed. I'm like, I can't move them. He said, wiggle your toes. I said, okay. He said, wiggle your toes. I said, I am. He said, no, you're not. I looked down. I am literally trying to wiggle my toes, and I can't. I've retained bowel and bladder function, but literally everything else has gone to hell in a handbasket. I use my crutch as I can, but even that is good for about 3 to 5 feet. And even that is like, I am so unstable that I fall over. I still have intermittent paralysis. It's getting worse. I'm constantly numb, or I feel like my body is on fire. And the lower you go, the more intense the fire pain gets. Along with that, it feels like somebody has sent me through a meat tenderizer. You know, the industrial meat tenderizer where it's a bunch of needles that just repeatedly stab these slabs of meat to tender. That's what it feels like. So, my life is completely changed. And now, I am pretty much completely disabled. I have been trying to reach out to the Social Security Administration, trying to reach out to the Department of Rehabilitative Services here in Oklahoma. And initially they gave me, it's going to be like 2 to 4 weeks on the waiting list, and then 2 to 4 weeks until you can get approval for the van. We'll have you done in 2 months. It's been a month and a half. And they've approved me, but I'm still on the waiting list. They have told me basically, well, if you don't like it, then find some other way. Stop bothering us. You're being needy. Well, they've lost all my paperwork multiple times. They keep asking me questions like, hey, do you own your home? Are you the leaseholder? Do you have your new wheelchair? Are you the owner of your truck? I've told them this multiple times. And then they started assuming, well, you're not the owner of the home, you're not the leaseholder, you don't have your wheelchair, and you don't have your truck. I said, where are you getting this from? We talked about this. I took delivery of this wheelchair a week ago. You've known about it. I've told you 3 times. I've told you I'm the registered owner of my truck, but we're not going to be able to use it because somebody swapped out the axle and I need to get a van. So then came the problem of, well, you're not the leaseholder. I'm like, I am the leaseholder. I'm just renting an apartment. I said, all I need is help getting this van because now I can't even get my chair in my pickup truck, and I don't know if I can get finance for something that I can get this chair in. I need help. DRS and the advocate basically told me there's nothing I can do. I have to patiently wait. I said, for how long? They can't even tell me that. They won't even give me an estimate of how many months it will take for me to come off this waiting list. This is Oklahoma, Oklahoma City to be specific. In the neighborhood I live in, there are no sidewalks, and trying to get on Embark Plus, which is the public transit, but the one that goes door to door for people with disabilities, trying to get onto that is next to impossible. I've got to talk to my doctor and my social worker and ask them, hey, how do we do this? Can my doctor just sign a form like it was in Texas, and we submit that to Embark, and then they approve it and give me whatever identification I need, or put it in their system so that if I book a ride, it's covered because, I can't always drive my truck. All I need is help getting a van, and unfortunately, a cheap option is going to cost about $20,000. I've tried GoFundMe, and now GoFundMe won't even let me post. They are having a technical error. If I can make one, I will put it in the link in the description in my bio. I'll put a link in there. But I cry all the time because I literally feel like I have no quality of life. I am pretty much trapped at home because on the days I don't have the strength to get a running start, basically, it's like a game of friggin' Mario Kart. I start at the end of the parking spot behind my roommate's car in my truck, and I have to push as hard as I can to get enough momentum to get up the two small ramps to get up to my apartment. Because I can't afford the new ramp, which is $1,500. So in total to solve my problem, I need about 30 or 40 grand, but I can't get that. I don't know what to do. I know that everyone is tight. Everything is hard right now. But if there's any way anyone could help, all I want is a chance to go back to work. And having a van would give me a chance to go back to work. I can go back to work and be completely self-sufficient and independent. I wouldn't need to file for Section 8 or housing. I probably wouldn't even need food stamps. I would still be on Medicaid because Uber and Lyft don't offer insurance. And I qualify through the state. But that's the only thing I would be using is Medicaid. I can't wait any longer for DRS. Disability is taking forever. I need help. If there's any way y'all could boost this and help me, I've got my Cash App in the bio. If I can get a GoFundMe set up, I'll put that in the bio. Anything helps. The goal is 20 to 30 grand to get me a reliable van that I can drive that, I can either put that down on a more expensive van if I have to, or I can at least buy a cheap van that will run for a few years and the lift equipment will be reliable, because you can't replace certain parts of that lift after about 10 years. They don't make them anymore. So after about 10 years, that van is completely totaled, even if it's never been in an accident, regardless of mileage, because then the ramp becomes manual and they can't put another power unit into it. So if y'all could help, I would greatly appreciate it. I am so numb, mentally, physically, and I'm exhausted, and I don't know what else to do. And I am absolutely heartbroken because I live in a city where I feel like they don't want me, but I can't afford to move anywhere. I don't know what to do. My life is pretty much non-existent. I have no quality of life. I really have no friends anymore. And I don't have any family. So, I don't know what to do now. I don't know what the next step is. I don't know what I'm going to do. I keep looking for options, but I can't find anything. So, yeah, that's where we're at. I'm trying to figure out a way to get a van that costs $20,000 to $30,000 and can't even do that. And I don't know what to do because there's no funding in the state of Oklahoma. It's all a loan that I can't afford. I don't know what to do about it. So if you guys could help me, I'd greatly appreciate it. I don't know who this needs to get to. I don't know what needs to happen, but I have to believe that when the time is right and things are meant to happen, that the right people will be connected in life to help others. I'm just waiting my turn. This is my plea for anybody out there. If you feel obligated, that shouldn't be it. You should feel called. Something should be calling you to help. And if you are that person, then I have to believe that this is the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, connecting people. Help me return to my life, because a van would allow me so much independence. It would allow me to return to work. It would allow me to have a quality of life and be able to spread awareness for disability advocacy and rights, and help me hopefully change the landscape for others with disabilities so that they don't have to suffer. So, I need to cut this off because I'm running short on time, but I really appreciate everyone. If you've watched this entire video through, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And regardless, I hope that nothing but blessings and good come to those of you that are genuine and good-hearted. Those of you that are kind to nature, I hope nothing but blessings come to you. And remember that everything happens for a reason. And there's got to be a higher force in control here. Whatever you want to call that force, whether you call it God or the universe, Goddess, whatever. I have to believe that they are in control. And we have to trust that this is just the way things are for a reason. Thank you guys. And I will keep you guys updated. Bye.